I have grappled with that for years because I have no idea when I'm going to die. It could be in the next 10 seconds. It could be 100 years from now. I don't have a clue. And so often in my past, I found I was limiting myself by what I believed was true. But I had this several moments that shook me to the core when I realized what I believe may not even be close to reality. And so now I start questioning, wait a second, is that really a limit? Or is that just something I'm telling myself is a limit? And so for me, we have no idea what we could accomplish or how fast it could actually show up. We only have our senses. We can see, we can touch, we can hear, we can taste, we can smell, and we receive data in. And from that, we make a bunch of assumptions. But those are just assumptions. We really don't know. And so if you want something, what we do is we imagine it first and we picture it and we say, wow, that's what I want. And then we start chasing it. And so if you're going to start chasing something, why not chase the biggest things? Because you have no idea how quickly it may actually show up.
This episode is sponsored by Atopic AI for Opportunity. Atopic is an AI-powered opportunity discovery platform, and the best word that I can describe it is ChatGPT, but instead of giving you information, it gives you real people you should be connecting with. Whether you're looking for clients, partners, investors, job prospects, or high intent leads, Atopic makes it simple. You just type what you're looking for, and the AI thinks through thousands of signals, and then surfaces verified prospects with context, not random lists. It even helps you follow up, nurture conversations, and track your pipeline. What I love about Atopic and why I'm excited to have them as a sponsor is that they're solving the biggest problem in business growth: finding the right people at the right time. If you haven't yet, go to atopic.com and try it. It's one of the smartest tools out there for people trying to grow their business. All right, everyone. So today we have Jason McKenzie with us, and I'm excited for this because I know this guy's background. I don't want to give it away. I want him to tell his story. So, Jason, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I have been a business owner for most of my life, and it all started when I was a really little kid because I walked into a grocery store, or not a grocery store, a little department store as a little kid. I walk in and I look, and there's an entire aisle dedicated to candy, probably 70 feet of candy. And I was like, I need enough money to buy all the candy. And so I started trying to figure out, as like this 4 or 5 year old kid, how do you get money? What do you do? How's this happen? I thought I had to be a basketball star, which I love basketball, my favorite sport, hands down. Love David Robinson, probably my ultimate hero when it comes to basketball, but I didn't have the skills to pay the bills. And my dad kind of said, hey, maybe look in a new direction. And so I started jumping into this business world, been doing that, been involved in a number of companies, had some ups and downs, some terrible experiences, some great experiences. And now I get to share my story with other people, which is super exciting.
Yeah, it is. You know me, I love sharing my story, and I love giving others a platform to share theirs. But what I love about your story is it started at such a young age. You were just a kid, you seen candy, you got excited, and you're like, I need to figure out how to make money so I can get what I want. So that's really cool. Oh, how did this progress over the years though? Because it's one thing to have a dream as a kid, but a lot of times our dreams as a child don't really happen. So let's hear that story.
Yeah, yeah. So my parents went out and they started doing a paper route so that us as kids would have an opportunity to understand what that was like and how do we do this. And then the money came in and it was almost like we were our own little thing. And they'd be like, okay, well, you worked this much in the business, you worked this much, so you get this much money. And they helped us see that there's a direct correlation to the amount of service we were providing or like working those days came back and equaled money. And then they allowed us to see that money does stuff. And so that was my next experience. But then I jumped in, I was like, well, that's not enough money. So I started a lawn care business. And I'm 11 years old. And then I hired my younger brother to work for me in the lawn care business. And we were known as the Lawn Boys. And we had up to 20 customers without a driver's license, still in school, trying to make it all happen. And I remembered that was the first real moment where I was doing all the things. And it was such a learning experience. I had to go out and interface to attract new customers. I had to explain to them what we were doing, talk about pricing with them. Then I had to make the commitment of I'm going to be here every single Monday at by about 3 o'clock, or I'm going to come on Tuesdays. And I had to do the scheduling. And then I had to bring my brother on and keep him happy as an employee. So I started gaining all this experience and knowledge as a little kid. And now as I look back on it, I'm like, wow, I'm really grateful my parents let me have that experience and supported me and kind of guided me along as I'm doing that. And that carried me for a while. But then later on, I moved in to importing jewelry out of the Philippines of all things. I had a
Really.
friend who had a connection over there. We started bringing jewelry in and selling it. And I realized I was terrible at actually promoting and selling my goods and advertising my goods. So I went in and started studying marketing in college to figure all those pieces out. And that led me into the world that I'm at in today, where we do a ton of web design, all these different things, because I found I had a weakness and I went and fixed that weakness and it became a strength.
That story right there is what it's all about as an entrepreneur. You know, we I know I've done for myself. I had a weakness. I didn't know how to run a business. Like I seen my dad doing it over the years, but I had no idea the ins and outs. So what I did is I went and got certified as a business coach. Like what but better thing to do than to do that. And so yeah, kinda like you. I was just like, "Alright, I need to learn all of these things so I can be great at something." And,
Right.
kinda like you, I found out that I'm really good at advertising, at marketing myself, and at getting attention, I like to get attention, which is weird for me because years ago, I didn't want anybody to look at me, nothing, but now it's like, look at me, stare. I know I'm different, but I get attention. And as you know, the more attention you can get, the better your business does.
Absolutely. I had a good friend. Her dad was one of the original bigwigs at Microsoft. And she would always say, there is publicity, but there's no bad publicity. There's just publicity. So doesn't matter what they're saying as long as they're talking. And it really that may not be entirely true. I can certainly think of a few instances where that isn't true, but by and large, people are so scared and we're so worried about what everyone else is thinking that we're afraid to ever even open our mouths. And if we did open our mouths, we'd find that mostly people are pretty decent folks and it's not going to be terrible. But there's the fear holds us back. And then what we were talking about just a second ago, it reminded me, I have a good friend, Robert Haynes, and he has told me multiple times, he says a small business will almost never outgrow the owner. And so when the owner has weaknesses or problems, or they see the world this way, the business isn't going to grow past that. It always is stuck as much as the owner is stuck. So if the owner wants to grow the business, they have to shift and adapt and overcome and become a totally different person than they were before so that they can help the business to also achieve new heights.
Oh, I agree with that. Number one, if you go on my social media, you'll see I don't know how many videos where I talk about don't let what other people might think of you stop you. Like just get over that. Don't worry about it. Just do your thing, know who you are. And for me, that's helped me a lot. It's just like I've been able to grow. And like you're saying, you have to grow into the person that you want to be. So like advice that I've gotten over the years is if you want to be a billionaire, you need to start living and acting like a billionaire. Start thinking like how they would. Start working like how they would. All of that. You have to become that person before you'll get there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so many people, like I said earlier, are scared.
Hmm.
But when we think about it, it doesn't matter what opinion you have. you can find somebody that's not going to like you.
Yeah.
And I know we're both fans of Grant Cardone, and he says if you don't have haters, then you're doing something wrong.
Yep.
You should be setting a goal. Oh, I want 5 new haters this month.
Oh,
You
yeah.
should be setting a goal. How many haters do oh man, I only have 20 people hating on me. I got to level up. I'm not doing good enough. Because if you firmly actually believe what you're saying, it doesn't matter what the other guy thinks. They're welcome to their opinion. You just hold true to who you are, and that's what matters.
Yep, exactly. You know, I love haters, like you were saying. And it's it's kinda weird though because I usually only get haters on YouTube. It's like I'm on every platform, but it's always YouTube where the haters come out, and I get a kick out of it. It's entertaining, and I'll reply to them, and just I'll be like sarcastic about it, and it bothers them. It's like you don't bother me. I like this. So, like the last one I got the other day was somebody dogging on me for my hairstyle. I was like, okay, cool. I don't care. I've had the same hairstyle for like 6, 7 years. I like it, and that's all that matters. You know?
Right? Of all the things,
Yeah.
like, who cares what
Like,
my hair looks
not the
like?
way I talk, not the way I walk. It was my hairstyle. That's what he wanted to do. Point it out. I'm like, okay, cool. Don't care.
Well, did they offer to give you a free haircut at least?
No, no, and that's the thing. It's like, see, you don't want to help me, so get over it, right?
Yeah, totally, yeah.
So I do want to ask because this is a entrepreneur podcast. When
Mhm.
it comes to marketing, what is your like top 3 tips that you would give somebody else that's like getting started out?
Ah, if if someone had told me this when I was first starting in business, I think it would have helped me a ton. And it is when you're running a business, there's 2 sides to it. The first thing is you're not an everything for everyone. As soon as you become everything for everyone, you become a blah nothing that doesn't make any sense to anyone. A business exists to solve a problem for a person at a point in their life journey. If you're trying to walk along beside a person through every step of their life journey, you're totally messing up. So, with that, if you're going to solve a problem for a person when they're at a point in their journey, you need to know who they are, what the problem is, what their pain is, what they actually are hoping for, and then once you understand that, you should write all those things down. My person that I'm helping is this person. They hate this thing. They're struggling with this. They're afraid of this. When they wake up at 2 in the morning, they're thinking about these problems. Their desire, their dream, their hope is to have these things happen in their life. Write all that down, stick it on the wall, and then reference that. And whenever you're trying to market anything, whenever you're trying to advertise anything, you need to make sure that you're being true to talking to that person. That's one. Then on the flip side, marketing is actually the process of making 2 things. Making others aware of your organization is one part of marketing. But the second part is making sure that your organization doesn't have multiple personality disorder. Because one person may come in and be really friendly, upbeat, excited. And then this other person that works in the same company is a sour grouch that doesn't ever get back to people. Well, which one of those represents your organization? So you need to understand who your organization is and then make sure you're consistent on that. So that means consistent in the promotions, consistent in the advertising, the onboarding, when you're fulfilling on it, and then follow up and customer service, finance, all of those, you need to have one cohesive, organized brand and always be putting that out. A brand is almost like the soul or personality of your company. So you need to identify what that is because it's not the same as you as the business owner. These are 2 separate things. You're the business owner, there's a business. You need to know the soul of the business. You need to know who it is you're helping at that point. And then you need to be consistent in making sure that you're always representing your business in the right light. And then you need to get out there and just hammer that message to the world. You do those things, and business goes so much better. You get more reviews, and they're better reviews. You get less complaints. You get less fires in the business. All those things go so much better when you know who your customer is and you know who your business is, and you're consistently pushing that message out.
But yeah. I agree 100%. And as someone who years ago, when I first started all this, I was trying to please everyone, and I pleased no one. Like it didn't work. And now it's like I know who I can help, I know how to help them, and that's it. Like just we're just going hard on our two services that we do, which they intertwine. So it's kind of like one service. It's all marketing, but yeah, so just go hard on that, and it's going a lot better now than it was a year or two ago. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I love good to great because they really hammer that concept in. For anyone who doesn't believe that I'm right, go read Good to Great. It's going to prove it. You should be doing those things. It says they call it the hedgehog principle, and they say a hedgehog focuses in and just goes after it and stays focused on that one thing. I know in the book, what is it? Profit First.
mm,
Michael McCallowitz. He talks about that there's this guy who comes in and he just is all over the place. And he's like, "Oh, I can do your leaves, I can do your gym, all," and he thinks he's making a ton of money, and all he's doing is creating a bunch of busy work. But that guy who's laser focused makes life so much better.
yeah, so true, so true. Thank you for sharing that because I know that's gonna help my audience a ton. Actually, had me thinking about my business. Like I need to get even more focused than I already am. So thank you. It's nice to get reminded sometimes because as business owners, we tend to kind of well, we like to branch out at times, and we shouldn't do that. We just gotta stay focused.
Yep. And I think it's okay to branch out, but the time to branch out is what's critical. So if
Yep.
you're going to branch out, it might mean you're going to start another company. These are not the same company. They're going to be two separate companies, and that's okay. It's okay to have multiple businesses. Make sure that the first one's really humming along and can survive without you, and then go start that next one. But don't just try and blend it together because then you end up with a mess.
Yep. I agree. That's why we recently opened a second business. My coaching's kind of one thing, and now the marketing agency is another because it was better just to have the totally different brand because like my coaching is Nick Ura coaching. That's all that's the name of it. So it's like I want to do this. Well, I can't do that with the name Nick Ura coaching. So we have to kind of do that, but it's going good. So that's a plus.
Yeah, and that's awesome. The fact that you named it so tight, the name itself acts as the barriers to make sure you stay
Yeah.
on point.
Yeah, I had no choice. I was like, "Oh, well, I can't do anything else with that, so let's start Infinite Success Media, and we'll go with that," you know?
Right.
So, it works out good. And, well, when it comes to marketing, like, how big are you on pushing, like, social media?
I think that the answer to that is kind of an individual person uh, answer, and here's why. I know somebody, and they do home inspections, and so they were going in and doing home inspections, and they were brand new starting out, never done it before, jumping in brand new, and they wanted to go out and they wanted to do all these things. And I said, wait a second, where you're at in your journey, you need your first customer. And then we had that conversation of how do people in your industry typically get customers? And they're like, well, usually it's from a real estate agent. Okay, where you're at in your journey right now, you'd be wasting a ton of time trying to do all these other things when all you need to do is connect with a couple of real estate agents and get your business off the ground. But once the business is off the ground and you've maximized that first channel, then you've got to figure out what's my next channel and my next and my next and my next. So depending on where a business is at in their business journey, social media could be the death nail that destroys you, or it could be the wings that are going to take you to the next level. But if you don't have a clear understanding of what you should be doing, you won't know whether I'm going to kill my business or whether I'm going to help my business a lot. So I think where they're at on the journey dictates whether or not someone really should be focusing on social media yet.
Mhm.
But If the business grows to a certain size, it almost always gets to the point where you have to be on social media to take it to that next level.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. Because when you're just getting started out, you don't really know what you're doing a lot of times. So
Yep.
it's better to not try to build your social media presence until you know what you're doing. You know, you feel confident in yourself and your services to actually promote it on social media, get that following and all of that. So I agree with you.
Yeah, social media is kind of like building a fire. In that if you spend all of your time when you're first starting your business going out and finding all the right sticks to put on your social media and then getting the kindling and striking the match and getting it to go, that's a lot of time, energy, and effort. And you don't have a fire the minute you find your first stick. It takes a while. So if you're in a position where you can't wait a while for results, it might be better to get your business stabilized, get it grown a little bit more, mature a little bit more, make sure you have those profiles of who you're trying to actually talk to, and then go into social media, because then it will turn into a fire and it's this blaze that just keeps burning for you, giving you warmth and heat. But it takes a while to get those results.
Yep, exactly. And once you are up and going, then you can hire someone like me to just do it for you. And makes it a
Yep.
whole lot easier because I don't know about you, but social media, it can be a whole animal in itself and it can take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree with that, because one of the things that successful entrepreneurs do is they figure out, okay, I have 20 different hats I'm wearing. I've got the business owner hat, I've got the technician hat, I've got the finance hat, the sales, operations, accounting. And they figure out, okay, which hat should I take off and put on someone else's head? And that's the job of this of that business owner entrepreneur, to learn how to take hats off. So someone like you that can come in and say, hey, we already have the expertise. We've put in all the hours to learn. We've done it for ourselves. We've done it for others. Wouldn't that feel nice to take that hat off and put it on a professional's head? Oh man, as an entrepreneur, that is the gold mine when you find the right person to set that hat on.
Yep, it is. Exactly. So, for the audience listening, how can they reach out to you and how can they work with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you're looking to connect with me, we have the Small Business Big Visibility podcast, where we drop daily tips on how to think differently about life and business so that you can make little shifts and become better at what you do. We also have Grisora.com, where we're helping small business owners. We have a podcast tied to that, where we're helping small business owners retool their business so that they can go from being trapped and caged and stuck every day in the business. Because I was there years ago where I couldn't go on vacation, and we had to figure that out. And I found a mentor, and now the mentor's partnered with me. And now we're helping others so that they can get unstuck and have more freedom. And that's Grisora.com. And those are the two big ones. If you want, you can also go to jason-mckenzie.com. You can find out more about me, who I am, and what I'm doing, or you can go find me on social media. I'm Jason McKenzie with the red beard. It's pretty hard to miss.
Yep, exactly. I do want to touch on something that we talked about. So, your podcast, you have a little the reasoning behind why you do it like you do. You want like just quick little tips that people can listen to daily because you know over time that starts to change you as a person. Do you want to touch on that a little more?
Absolutely. So when a person's first starting to walk, they take little tiny baby steps. You don't expect your kid to go running down the hall the very first time they stand up. When you're starting a business, you're doing the same thing. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go find my first customer. Take that step, take that. But all of us, it's human nature to kind of get stuck in our ways, and we often have blinders on and we get focused on what we're doing. And if you want to change the way that your life is going, the first thing we have to do is we have to change the way we're thinking. And so if you're walking down the road in one direction and you take and turn just the tiniest bit to the left, you're going to end up in a totally different destination over time. But it takes being consistent in that new direction. So with the podcast, what I do is I do Monday through Friday. Occasionally we have guests on, and I love to let them tell their stories because it inspires others and gives tips and tricks and all those sorts of things. But most of the time, it's these short 5-minute episodes, close to that, where we're just sharing a little way where you can think a tiny bit different about life, a tiny bit different about relationships, a tiny bit different about business. Because when you start thinking a teeny bit different, you start shifting your perspective on everything. And when you do that, you start acting differently and speaking differently, and you're going to get different results. And that's the whole goal, is to think differently, speak differently, believe differently, act differently, so that you can change from who you are today to the person you want to be, so you can achieve what you're looking for in life.
Man, I absolutely love that, and I know I myself, I'm gonna tune into your podcast because that's the type of podcast that I love. Just the little mindset shifts over time, it helps more than anybody can even imagine.
Makes all the difference. Yeah, I'm looking forward to come on over, join in. Let's have you on the podcast as well, have you as
That'd
a
be
guest,
awesome.
put you on there.
Yeah, awesome. All right, one more question. My slogan is "Your abilities are infinite." What does that mean to you?
I have grappled with that for years because I have no idea when I'm going to die. It could be in the next 10 seconds. It could be 100 years from now. I don't have a clue. And so often in my past, I found I was limiting myself by what I believed was true. But I had this kind of several moments that shook me to the core when I realized what I believe may not even be close to reality. And so now I start questioning, wait a second, is that really a limit? Or is that just something I'm telling myself is a limit? And so for me, we have no idea what we could accomplish or how fast it could actually show up. We only have our senses. We can see, we can touch, we can hear, we can taste, we can smell, and we receive data in. And from that, we make a bunch of assumptions. But those are just assumptions. We really don't know. And so if you want something, what we do is we imagine it first and we picture it and we say, wow, that's what I want. And then we start chasing it. And so if you're going to start chasing something, why not chase the biggest things? Because you have no idea how quickly it may actually show up.
Man, you hit the nail on the head. I love that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, thank you so much for being on the show. I can't wait to be on your show. And I have a good feeling that you'll be back on the show again sometime in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Bye.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in it, the Nick Heart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.